And so now we turn our attention to the economy. Of course, we get that report that headline inflation has slowed by 1.25% to 32.12% for the month of August. But how consistent is that with the reality of your pocket? And then again, the pump price of petrol, according to the NNPCL, following the offtake from Dangote, is now 950 naira. What does that mean subsequently for inflation in the coming months? Let's have that conversation together this morning as we have joining us here in our Lagos studio, Dr. Muda Yusuf is the MD, CPPE, Center for Public Enterprises here in Lagos. Dr. Yusuf, good morning and welcome on to the program. And we also have joining us, thank you, sir, from our Abuja studio, Mr. Ayobami Oyalowo, a development economist who joins us from our Abuja studio. Good morning and welcome, Mr. Oyalowo.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so Dr. Yusuf, I'm going to start with you here in the studio. According to expert opinions, they say that the current inflation does not take into reality the new pump price of petrol. And so as a result, inflation subsequently may increase following the release by the MBS for the month of September. That on the one hand. And on the other hand, some say that, the figures released by the NBS, leave a huge question mark because of what actually is the reality out there in terms of commodity. How do you weigh in on this? Price of commodities, rather.
Well, thank you very much. I'm actually representing the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprises. Yeah. Well, the inflation situation is a very worrisome trend. But let me say up front that when we talk about a reduction in inflation, it does not necessarily imply a reduction in price. What it does imply is a reduction in the rate of increase in price. So if, for instance, the price regime increased by, say, maybe 2 naira, last month, and this month it increased by 1 naira, then you see that there's been a reduction in inflation. Meanwhile, the real price has gone up by 1 naira. So I think that understanding needs to be made clear. The second point is that if you look at the inflation situation in terms of general price level, the reality is that we have seen some drop in some prices. Even though generally prices are still very high. For instance, if you take things like food items that are related in a way to seasonality of production, like yam, like tomato, pepper, and all of that, you will see that there has been some reduction in those prices. But generally, those items that are anchored, and we have quite a large number of them, that are anchored on foreign exchange, that are foreign exchange dependent or import dependent, those prices are still high. And some of them are still going up higher. So that is the challenge that we face. So when people say that the figures are not reflecting the reality, that is what they are saying. Because they feel that when we say that inflation is dropping, what they expect to see is a reduction in price. But that is not what it means. And what we desire generally, and as an economy, is for prices to come down, which in economic terms is even regarded as disinflation, that when prices are actually dropping. Because admittedly, the citizens are already overstretched in terms of their pockets, in terms of the pressure coming from all sides. And the new development now around the petrol price is going to further compound the situation. Because the figures we are discussing now is the August figure. So the reality of the moment is going to reflect in the September numbers. So that is the way it is, but it is a very difficult and challenging situation.
Yeah. Let me come to you now, Mr. Oyalowo. I wonder if you agree with Dr. Yusuf. And just to add to that, some are saying that it's really nothing to celebrate, particularly because of the harvest season that has caused the reduction in price that Nigerians are witnessing in the price of food. But how significant really is the harvest that has caused this reduction in price? How significant is it to move the needle subsequently in inflation figures in the coming months?
Good morning again. Thank you for bringing me on. And I completely agree with Dr. Muda there on his explanation on inflation. Yeah, prices may not reflect what people want to see because some things that were spiraling had reduced in the number of percentages that we have seen. And like you rightly said, which I also agree with, I'm sure sometimes back right on this program, I predicted that food inflation may slow down when the harvest starts coming in, which is what we have seen in terms of normal food that is seasonal, yam, potatoes, tomatoes, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, the other things that are anchored on importation and foreign currency, like you rightly said, are not slowing down. Unfortunately, it might even get worse in September, and the reason is not far-fetched. The current fuel price was moved from 617 by the NNPC to 897, and now within a few days it is now 950 or thereabouts. So it will generally move up the price of inflation, I mean the rate of inflation by September. But something nobody is looking at is, I don't think the price of fuel, like everyone has been looking at, is a major problem. What I mean is the price of fuel hasn't gone up. What is not improving and what is causing most of this problem is the rate at which our naira is priced against the dollar. All the argument, I sat down yesterday to look at it. Clearly, we are still buying fuel at less than 60 cents. So what we are witnessing in that area, like you have highlighted, is not price of fuel increment, is the rate of our naira being so undervalued or so devalued. So for as long as nobody is looking at how to show up the value of the naira, fuel price will continue to go up. And as fuel price goes up, it will impact on the prices of goods and services. So we'll come back next month and things are likely going to get worse because this figure for September the inflation figure for September will factor in the current price of petroleum. And when that is done, we will come back here and discuss it, and we will see that some other things have gone up, while the food that we think has been a bit positive may not be that positive come September.
Ms. Ayalo, like you took the words out of my mouth, and I'm going to stay with you if I come to Mr. Yusuf on this particular one. I wanted to ask you because I know that some months ago you were quite intense with this issue of FX rate, and you spoke clearly about the approach not working, and you made your proposition, and we saw a few things that happened. What do you think is going on? Because it feels like the Naira has found its level, according to the expert, I mean the CBN now, and they are saying, some people are saying Naira is grossly undervalued. This is not the true reflection of the Naira. Some are saying it is a true reflection of the Naira. And there was a time we saw that aggressive move by the monetary authority to see whether they were defending from the back channel or directly or the otherwise. But it looks like the government is a bit, permit me to say, comfortable with where the Naira is sitting at the moderation point of 15, 16, 17. And that is biting hard and is at the heart of this conversation of all the prices we're talking about at the end of the day. So what, in terms of policy, aggressively should we be looking at? Because if those numbers stay the way they are and continuously, what we're saying is the price of petrol today may be a joke. So let's tackle the problem. I'll ask you that question, and then Mr. Yusuf will also respond. Mr. Ayalo.
For me, I don't know what else I can tell them. I've told them what I think they should do. They did some. They didn't do the rest. Most people will not tell you the truth because, you see, we're running a system where everybody is friend to everybody. What did I mean by that? I remember I said the banks are at the heart of these forex problems. And if you look at it, most of the bankers are friends to the people who will make decisions, so they won't fight themselves. It's a problem we have to live with for now. I don't know honestly what we can do. Some banks have declared the half-year figures, and it's very funny. You see them declaring trillion in profitability, and then you look at the economy and you ask yourself, what is going on here? I said it here. I said the banks are the heart of our forex problem. And I was very, very unequivocal when I said those years when I was in the bank, banks generally handle all FX challenges. Today, the banks have seconded their interest to whatever we call BDC, and today BDCs now determine the price of naira to dollar. So if you want me to sit here and tell you the policy that will be pursued, I'll be lying to you, because the guys who were MDs before, Sanusi decided to remove them because he knew that when they stay too long in office, they become a problem. But what did they do? They use the back channel. They go and create what they call a group of companies. So they go back through the back channel and become chairman of the group of the company. And then they put some weak guys as MDs who can make decisions. And then these guys are back through the back door because they can't leave the bank. In the past, you have banks with directors, with a board that can take decisions. Today, the banks are run by a one-man show. The board are just there to decide and pretend that they are doing something while they are really doing nothing. So the banks are the heart of these forex challenges, and if the government does not want to deal with them, what can I do? I'm just one poor guy who nobody listens to. But one day when Nigerians are ready to fix their problem, they will fix their problem. But for now, there's really nothing we can do. These guys are going to decide what they want to do. That is why banks can boldly declare 1 trillion profit in half year when they have really done nothing in terms of the real sector. So this is a challenge. We don't produce anything, but banks are announcing huge profitability in just 6 months. That is a problem for Nigeria.
Mr. Yusuf, he said if we go after the bankers, maybe things will change. I know that the EFCC chairman has also mentioned that we're coming for you guys.
Well, first of all, let me talk about this fuel price and the implication for transport cost. Now, we need to emphasize this point, that the social cost of these current policies is extremely very high. And the citizens are not finding it funny at all. Because, you know, we are in an economy where the social safety net is extremely very, very weak, unlike what you have in some other economies, where you have heavy government presence in public transportation, where you have heavy subsidy in food, where you have subsidy in education and in health, where you have unemployment benefits. We don't have that kind of social safety net here. That is why we need to be extremely careful at the pace at which we drive some of these policies. I've heard NNPC officers talking about the Petroleum Industry Act, free market, market forces, and all of that. I mean, the economy is about human beings. And we need to recognize that. Because we are driving the citizens almost to the limit. You need to move around the city. You need to look at faces of people at the bus stops. Some guys can't go home from the office. They sleep somewhere around the office because they cannot afford the cost of transportation. And because there is no government presence, serious government presence in public transportation, it makes it extremely difficult. So the ordinary citizens are very, very vulnerable to these increases in price. So something has to happen. We cannot walk away so quickly from this problem of subsidy. Otherwise, you make life extremely difficult in fact, things are already very difficult. Because up until now, I think the NNPC was subsidizing. Although progressively, the level of subsidy is being reduced, which is fine. But to talk of complete deregulation of the whole system in an economy where we don't have a social safety net will not be appropriate at all. I think I need to stress that point. Now, coming to the issue of Forex. Now, exchange rate is a price. And every price is driven by variables on the supply side and on the demand side. If you have challenges on the supply side, the exchange rate will depreciate. If you have too much pressure on the demand side, the exchange rate will depreciate. So the way to deal with this issue on the demand side is to reduce the pressure of demand for imported items through what we call import substitution. And a major first step in this import substitution is what is happening with the Dangote refinery. About 35% or close to 40% of our import bill is coming from importation of petroleum products. If we're able to move that pressure away, it will have a significant impact on the exchange rate. If we're able to get some of our manufacturing, because the refinery is also going to produce a lot of petrochemical raw materials, polypropylene and the rest of them, that are used by manufacturers. So if progressively we can look inwards and reduce the imports, we'll be making some progress. And on the supply side, we need to support the export community. We need to do a lot more with our oil output, oil theft, oil production, investment in oil and gas, solid minerals. These are things we can do to shore up the supply side of the foreign exchange equation. Then there are also money laundering issues. Because a lot of cheap money that people do not work for, are also out there chasing the dollar. If you talk to those in BD, they will tell you how they are just influx of all sorts of money into the system. And we continue to run an exchange rate where you are taking a cue from the parallel market. It could also create problems for us because there's a lot of imperfections in the market. So we need to make haste slowly, and we need to recognize the peculiarities of this environment. We need to identify the imperfections in the market and determine how we can deal with these issues.
Should we even have should we even have BDCs in the first place?
We should have BDCs because they are relating to the retail end of the market. You cannot have everybody want to buy 1,000, you go to be filling for them. You want $500, you go and you can't be doing that. They have their role. But the issue is that we need to manage our system in a way that will reduce corruption, we reduce all these illicit funds, money laundering things that are also driving up and heating up the economy.
It's quite a lot really to chew on. But at the heart of this, two issues, Forex and petrol, and they're even tied. So I want us to tackle this petrol issue, and you've touched on it with the Dangote situation. But let me go to Mr. Oyalowo, and I'll come back to you. Because Dr. Yusuf has spoken about, it looks like NNPC has not been excited with Dangote. And like one of the times you came, you talked about that. But let me ask Mr. Oyalowo this. Mr. Oyalowo, there's been a back and forth between DRL and NNPC Limited. The latest one is regarding the pricing of petrol. 898, that's what the NNPCL says they are getting it for from Dangote. Dangote had released a statement saying, well, no, we have to wait for that that technical committee. What we are doing now is the one we got on dollar, right, or with dollar. Let's wait till October 1st before we begin the Naira, and then we can now say this is the price. But NNPCL came back to say, no, this is fully deregulated. Government cannot fix price. So it's been a lot of back and forth, and people already have an image of NNPCL. There's lack of trust. The Port Harcourt refinery has not come on stream in spite of the several deadlines that have been given, right? People have said, how about you give us a breakdown of the one you import as well? There's been a lot of issues, but I wonder for you if you see this, at least in a detached manner, see it for what it is, or you still see the politics being played. This government has not given the CNG kits 1 million over a year now since subsidy was removed. We're still talking about give 10,000 here and there when we expect that this should have been done since last year. So the transport cost is still high. But do you see the NNPC Limited approaching this the right way, or you blame Dangote Refinery Limited as some in government have done?
Kayode, you have packed so much into one question.
It's a breakfast show, so we're having a buffet, Mr. Oyalowo.
But before, don't worry, I will answer you, don't worry. I'm up to the task. But before I answer, I will want to answer the first question he asked Dr. Dauda there, and I'm going to, before I go into your own question. Yes, we are supposed to have BDCs, like I said here too the other day, and I won't change my mouth. Yes, BDC are supposed to be there for retail transactions, small transactions. Somebody sent you Western Union from abroad, 1,500. That is what they're supposed to be there for. And they're supposed to be heavily regulated. But what we are having right now is that the BDCs have taken over the jobs of the banks, which is my own contention. You are supposed to, if you want to do transactions that are heavy, you're supposed to go through the banks, fill your Form M, or if it's a visible transaction, fill your Form A. But today, the banks and the BDC have, I mean, you just look at it from the angle of ATM machines, for instance, the ATM, the automated teller machines. If you go there today, I can assure you none of them is working. But across the road, you see somebody is selling Naira, he says he's doing POS. The level of corruption in our system is such that from the top to the bottom, everybody is trying to cheat everybody. And now I'm taking that into your question. You are talking about NNPC and CNG. I'll start from the CNG part. I was fortunate to listen to or read from one of my younger friends. His name is Benga. Saka is his surname. He went to do a small research on this CNG. And you'll be amazed at how many vehicles have been converted because the federal government is making available for for commercial vehicles, CNG for free. So, but he realized in his small research that a lot of them have converted their vehicles to CNG. But guess what? The prices have not changed. Unfortunately, or fortunately for the owners of the vehicle, when he did the calculation, even if you are buying the kit by yourself, within 1 year, you will have saved about 1.2 million because he made the calculation so easy like this. So a lot of them have converted their, for those people doing private hailing cabs, cab hailing businesses, most of them have converted their cars, but they are still charging commuters the former price like they are doing PMS. So everybody is taking advantage of everybody. Despite the fact that they have taken advantage of the free conversion of from CNG, from petrol to CNG, that has not reflected in the pricing. Now let's go to the Dangote question you asked me. That is the big elephant in the room. I have sat here and I've said it and I'm going to say it again. The NNPC is a danger to the society called Nigeria. They have not told us the truth. Forever, they've not been telling us the truth. We have spent billions of dollars on turnaround maintenance of what you call the national refineries. Till today, they have thousands of staff. They are drawing heavy salaries. They have not refined one drop of fuel. But do you know that we have 5 modular refineries that are working? Nobody knows. So the NNPC has been opaque, has been non-transparent, and has been deceiving Nigerians and taking advantage of Nigerians till today. Now, coming into this Dangote issue, nobody is telling Nigerians the truth. Dangote will say this, NNPC will say that. I've never seen Dangote issue so many press statements in my life since I'm an adult until recently. So there is something going on between NNPC and Dangote that they're not telling Nigerians. I don't want to sit on Dangote's side because, of course, he's a businessman. He wants to make profit. NNPC, on the other hand, is a national asset, but it has been nothing but national in the way they've been working. A lot needs to be told, but those who know about the oil business, maybe they can tell us better. But what I can say from where I'm sitting is that the NNPC has been a danger, has been a pain to Nigerians, and they've not been very, very transparent with Nigerians. They've told us, in fact, the chairman told us, is it chairman they call the head? He said by end of last month, the Port Harcourt refinery will start refining. In fact, they went to flare gas and pretend that they were doing something. But as I speak to you, that place is refining nothing. So, and nobody is being held to account. So for as long as there is no consequences for actions, this will continue to happen.
And Dr. Yusuf, Mr. Yalawa has spoken point blank. But this is where we're at now. People are looking at the price from Dangote refinery, and they're saying that, what, $950, how can it be more expensive than what we've imported, even though there's the shortfall payment in all of that? But what do you see? Because you had said that it looks like NNPC Limited is not excited about Dangote. So is this your prophecy now coming to pass? Like, well, I told you.
Well, first of all, I think there are some powerful forces that are bent on preserving the status quo. And what I mean by the status quo is the continued importation of petroleum products. Because apparently quite a number of people are really benefiting from that. And such people are not really excited about this domestic production, which is the way to go. So we need that political commitment to make it happen. Because if you really want to transform this economy, we need to move as quickly as we can, to domesticate or to localize a lot of transactions and a lot of things that we consume. And the number one is these petroleum products. Now, this leads to both Dangote refinery and the NNPC. First, I'm not too comfortable about the rhetorics. These are two major institutions. One giant in the private sector, another giant in the public sector.
Well, the NNPCL is incorporated now.
Yes, whatever it is, it's still a big player, both in the economy and in that sector. So coming to the public space to exchange the kind of things we are hearing, I don't think is good for the economy. It's not good for our perception. It's not good for investors' confidence. A lot of these things are things that can be, can be managed within that ecosystem, not coming to the open. Secondly, is that there seems to be a tendency to give a dog a bad name in order to hang it. And I'm saying this with all due respect. Now, I'm really worried about the dramatization of the price, the cost that NNPC is buying from Dangote. When did NNPC start to tell us how much they bought petroleum products?
Maybe they are born again now.
I mean, they have been importing for ages. How many times have they told us, this is where we bought it from, this is how much we bought it, this is this. I mean, why?
The quality of...
Yes.
And Dr. Yusuf...
Why is it that it's when you are now buying from domestic sources? You are now giving us all sorts of statistics. So you're now giving the impression as if this current wave of price increases is because you are buying from Dangote. That is the impression that is being created. Whereas the bigger issue is that the NNPC itself and even the government is being almost overstretched by the pressure of subsidizing the petroleum products. That is the big issue. If you want to walk away from the subsidy, you make that announcement. You cannot tell us that what you are buying from Dangote is costlier than what you are importing in terms of landing costs. It's not possible.
And Dr. Yusuf,
yes,
giving a good dog a bad name in order to hang it is being interpreted in so many ways. I'm going to take this to you, to Mr. Yalowo. Some are saying that this pricing released by the NNPC is deliberate in order to make Dangote look bad, and when it comes on with the Port Harcourt refinery, its pricing will be lower, and then Nigerians would now take preference for NNPC's product. If that is the case, I'd like you to weigh in on that. And particularly, if you disagree, why does it seem as if Dangote is being, arm twisted into silence about how much exactly it is pricing its own product in the market?
Well, it's very funny. Like the doctor said just now, NNPC has never told Nigerians where they are bringing the fuel they brought into Nigeria from. But maybe it's from Norway, or it's from Malta, or it's from Finland. And they never told us how much they bought it there and how much they are selling. But suddenly NNPC is telling us Dangote is selling at so and so. That is why it's going to go up. I mean, it's very... I'm trying to find a very nice word so that I don't say something that I will regret saying on air, but it's terrible what NNPC is doing to Nigerians. Apparently, it is very clear now, it is glaring by all human standards that some people don't want importation of fuel to stop, because in Yoruba language, there is a word that says, Arijeni no Madaru. Some people profit and they thrive in chaos. They thrive when things are bad for the country. Because clearly, anybody with half a brain, you don't even need to be an economist, to understand that our biggest problem as a country is that we rely too much on importation. And that is why we are where we are today. Now, if we are now getting some level of relief by local production, why are these forces so bent on killing it? The president has done nothing since he became president than to run around the world and look for investment. And if a local investor is being treated this way, you think any foreign investor want to come into an economy where he will be treated this way? So it is very glaring that some people enjoy this opaque, in a local language, mago plan. System that they have been running.
Just pardon me, Mr. Oyalowo, quickly.
System.
Don't you think the president, as the Minister of Petroleum Resources, should show some willpower here and say, you know what, enough is enough. This should be done right.
Interrupt me, I will go there.
No, we want to get the shortcut so we can hit the nail on the head.
Okay, let's do the shortcut. I have said all I needed to say. I think, from my own advice, if I'm advising the president, I think it is time for him to now wear the big stick. It is clear that whatever is going on in NNPC is not, and I repeat, it is not to the benefit of Nigerians. So I think it is time they clear the audience table so that we can have some form of transparency and Nigerians can breathe some sigh of relief. For me, it's not about Dangote, because I am not here to speak for him. I don't even care about him. But it's about the perception of how investment and investors are treated in a system that is crying for investment in large numbers, and you have one already, and we're doing everything to stifle it. So I think the president, who is the Minister of Petroleum, needs to come down and weigh in into this situation so Nigerians can breathe some sigh of relief.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Oyalowo. We understand that you must run at this time to make up other appointments. So we'd like to thank you very much for your time on the program. Dr. Oyalowo, Mr. Oyalowo, rather.
No, Dr. Oyalowo.
Promoting you ahead is a development.
No, don't worry. In about 6 months, we'll be done with that. So I'll be a doctor in about 6 months or thereabouts.
All right.
Congratulations.
So it's prophetic. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Yeah, a prophet. Thank you.
All right.
You are chosen or what?
Well, just maybe.
I think let's bring it to Dr. Yusuf. It's quite painful. I've spoken with people that don't like Dangote, and they say, look, they feel it's a state-backed monopoly, but on this particular issue, this company has to succeed because of its impact on the outlook of our system as a government. This is perhaps the biggest single investment in the history of Nigeria, one of the biggest, $20 million. Billion dollars, I beg your pardon. And for the first time in a long while, somebody backward integrated what you call the import substitution. And quote and unquote, they're trying to frustrate him. How hard can it be to identify those who are frustrating him and deal with them? Is that a difficult thing to do?
It's not a difficult thing. And, you know, Kayode talked about the intervention of the president. We didn't vote for NNPC. And the activities of NNPC is impacting a whole lot on both the welfare of the citizens and on the state of the economy. So that is why I feel that the president, in his capacity, both as Minister of Petroleum and as the president of the country, needs to weigh in on this. We have many multi-billionaires in this country. How many of them have put concrete production investment in place? How many of them? Some of them start their money abroad, you know, in all sorts of places. So even if it stays bad, it happens even abroad. Where you have some strategic investors, government supports them. When we had COVID and some key sectors like automobile sectors, GM Motors were having problems in the United States, government used funds from its treasury to support those industries because they are looking beyond the person or the company. They are looking at the bigger picture. The implication of some companies going down for the total economy. Imagine if you stop spending $10 billion annually on importation of petroleum products. Imagine the impact of that on our foreign reserves, the impact on our exchange rates, the impact on our general macroeconomic environment. Because at the heart of all of these problems is the exchange rate depreciation. Because it's a highly import-dependent economy. And the economy is highly sensitive to what is happening to exchange rates, what is happening to energy prices. So we need to tackle those two. And so, we are almost about to turn the corner.
So, Dr. Yusuf,
and we are now having all this kind of back and forth.
I know you can speak in clear terms.
Yes.
Some people are saying Mele Kyari should be sacked. Benga Komolofe fired. The man in Farouk NNPC fired. The minister is fired. Is that going to change anything?
Well, I cannot make clear statement because I don't understand the environment in which they are operating. It could be a good person, and the environment in which you are operating may be hostile to you. But what I do know is that the way things are being managed right now in that organization is not the right way. And I don't know where the interferences, where the forces are coming from. It could be about them, it could be external to them. I'm not in a position to say. Well, but what I do know is that we have to do things differently.
Indeed.
And we need to also be conscious of the social implications. The citizens are stressed. We need to address this issue of energy prices. We need to make it easy for people to convert their generators, their vehicles to CNG, to LPG, whatever it is, to bring down the cost of energy.
Yeah, and indeed, this seeming lethargy in demanding accountability, either it's from the NNPCL or from the president, must also be defeated such that we can get results and not keep talking about the same thing all the time. We must anchor at this point, and thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Muda Yusuf is the Managing Director, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise.
Thank you.
I got it this time.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us and for always coming whenever we call.
Thank you.